What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing great as always. My name is Itai, and in today's YouTube chess video, I'm very excited because I get to share one of the more important ideas within chess, known as the initiative. I have a pretty important question for all of you guys. Essentially, on my previous video, I put on subtitles, those things that appear in the bottom that show you what I'm saying, and I put them in different languages, English, French, and a different language that I'm forgetting at the moment. But the point is, I had subtitles on, and some people commented saying that they don't think it's worth the effort and the time that I'm putting into it because they don't think that enough people are benefiting from it. So my question is, will you benefit from putting on subtitles? Because if it is something that you think will help you, then I'm completely fine with, giving the time and the effort to do so. But if there's no one that really will benefit from it, then I obviously, I don't think that there's a reason to do it. So leave in the comments below if you will benefit from it, if you won't, and if you will benefit from it, what language will you want? What language would you want the text to be in the bottom? Because then I can make subtitles for that language. Let's go ahead and dive into the initiative now. First off, what is the initiative? I consider the initiative the ability to create threats that lead to other threats, and ultimately, give you that momentum within the game. Because if you can choose between being the team that is pushing and attacking and doing all these threats that force the other team to defend, which team would you rather be? Obviously, you want to be that team that is doing all the attacking because it leads to opportunities, it leads to new threats, and a lot of times it can lead to you winning either pieces or winning the actual game. So it's very important that you keep that initiative and force your opponent to play limited moves that will continuously give you that advantage. Now I'm going to show you some examples within matches. Some of the examples I use will be from actual games, and if that's the case, then you can find the information of those games down in the description. Here in this example, you can see that white can castle on both directions. But the better move, and the best move in fact, is to play this move here. And the reason for that is that you are just giving your opponent more and more threats. With this move here, your opponent is left having to react. If your opponent doesn't do anything, then obviously they can lose their bishop. So they have to do something. And that gives you the initiative. Now you've played a move that will force your opponent to adapt into a defensive position. Or in other words, it will force your opponent to play some defensive moves to, deal with this threat. In this example, let's look at black's options and let's look at how the game continued. The first option that you can see is by taking, and this is not a great move. The reason being is that once you capture back with the queen, you now have you've stopped the black from ever being able to castle, and this will make black's king more unsafe in the future, and this rook, it will make it harder for this rook to ever develop. Both will lead to more problems and more threats against black, which eventually will probably lead to you having just more abilities to just continue attacking and pushing and keeping that initiative and that momentum, which a lot of times can carry on to the end game and eventually win you the game, hopefully. So obviously this is not a great move. So what else can black do? Well, one thing black can do is castle. Right, this seems to protect the bishop and keeps everything happy. But this still isn't a great move because the move that was played in the game, which is probably one of the better ones, h4 here, it eventually will want to play this, get the rook involved, get the knight involved, get the queen involved, and just continue putting more and more pressure. And the more things that you get involved, the more pieces that black has to use to defend, which will just ultimately give you more and more initiative and more momentum within the game. The example on the screen right now will prove two things. First off, a lot of times the initiative will come with sacrifices. A lot of times there will be just pawn sacrifices, but sometimes you will sacrifice other pieces. The second thing that this example will show is that the fight for initiative starts with the opening. You can see that this is the setting for a new game of chess, and just in the start you can see that both players will be fighting for the initiative. Let's see how both of these ideas happen. So you can see that the game begins, and I won't go through every move in detail because this is just a very self-explanatory series of moves. And now you go ahead and play this move. And once black takes, instead of taking back, you offer another pawn, gambiting a pawn. And here's when the idea of giving away material for the initiative comes into play, because once black takes this pawn, the fun starts essentially, because now you just play a lot of moves that will force your opponent to react. It will force your opponent to react to the threats and to play forcing moves. So here you can see that black is forced essentially to play this move to protect this pawn from mate. And now you can take this pawn, and black cannot take back because of mate. So black is essentially forced, I guess the best move here for black is to castle, right? So again, more and more forcing moves. Now the pawn here is developed, and of course this is a little threat, so you play this move. And now black can no longer play this because you can capture, so you're encouraging black to capture the bishop, after which you capture the pawn here. Material on the board right now is even, but you have so many more pieces that are into play, and already, from the series of moves you played, you can see you've played so many forcing moves. You're forcing black to react. And then after you take the knight, you're forcing black to react and to not take this bishop here, and instead to castle. You're forcing black to react, which is giving you that momentum. It's giving you the initiative, and you can see once all of the trades happen, it gives you the better position. So this has been my video about the initiative. You can see that the fight for the initiative starts in the beginning of the game with the opening, and that's why gambiting pawns is not always bad, and a lot of times leads for you to have a much better and smoother game later on. I hope you found this video useful. One thing I ask is that if you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it, then share it with a person that also likes chess and that will also benefit from the video. And beyond that, if you're new around here, subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, comment anything you want me to make in the future for videos, and I'll see you guys next time.